I think part of the reason why I save so much comes from what I've learned from my parents. We never took vacations. We only went to the library. That was our vacation. They were basically just very frugal, and that carried on to me. I try to be pretty frugal. Hi, my name is Bukola Ayodele. I'm 25 years old, and I make $210,000 every year and live in New York City. I'm a software engineer working in the fintech space. I'm building tools and applications for engineers. So I'm actually obsessed with tracking things. Like I track my calories, I track my workouts, and I also track my money. I believe in this philosophy of what doesn't get measured doesn't get managed. So I make sure I'm tracking my money every single month. And how I track my money is I use YNAB and I also use Personal Capital. I also have spreadsheets for my long-term goals. So I just make sure that every single month I'm allocating a little bit of money to hit those long-term goals. The total rent for the apartment is about $4,000 and my room costs about $1,400. This is actually the most I've ever spent on rent, and I was a little mad to spend this much on rent, but the area is really nice and it's even closer to work, so I kind of save time in my commute. So I was born in Nigeria and I moved here when I was 6 years old. And we moved into like an inner city neighborhood when we first got here. And my parents really hustled and worked hard to get us to a better neighborhood. Growing up, my parents really valued education, and they really pushed my sister and I to pursue very traditional career path. In our house, we had a saying that you could either be a doctor, a lawyer, or a disgrace. I actually majored in political science in college with the hopes of becoming a lawyer, but after working in a law-related field, I realized that this was not for me. So I looked back at classes in college that I really liked, and one of the classes I really loved in college were my computer science classes. I decided to quit my job and do a sabbatical. During my time doing a sabbatical, I joined the Recurse Center. The Recurse Center is sort of like an engineering retreat where you can learn how to program and just sort of build new projects. It was totally free and it took 3 months, and then after that, 3 months later, I got a job. I got so many rejections left and right, and I just had to learn to just be a little bit more persistent and to keep pushing. We're getting our account balance and then we're just returning self.accounts. So it's just easy. It can be kind of a little isolating to be the only Black woman, but I really just try to connect with other Black women and people of color in the software engineering space. I've been stopped a bunch of times from entering my job because they thought I just didn't work in the building. It's just crazy that things like that happen. Tech and software engineering is a really great career path. You get to work on really amazing projects and you can earn a really good living doing this. $200 goes towards groceries and $100 for eating out. I grew up on meal prep. My mom always made us some jollof rice in the house, so I usually meal prep my meals. That's good, okay, good. Me and my friends, we do other things other than just going out for dinner and brunch. So instead of grabbing dinner, we'll just do a class pass instead and go to a dance class. Or I just invite friends over, sometimes we'll just cook together. It's just a way for all of us to save money. I only left school with about $7,000 in student loans was because of 2 factors. The first factor was the fact that I got needs-based financial aid from my college so that my tuition and room and board, half of it was paid and covered for by my school. The other half was covered for by my parents, and they gave me probably one of the best gifts that I've ever gotten, which is the gift of a free education. They took on the burden of carrying our loans, but they were able to pay it off through just being really frugal. My parents just always donated 10% of their salary. They see that as a gift to God. So they've really encouraged me to do the same thing. So some of that money goes back to my parents because they've done a lot for me, and the remaining goes to other organizations that I really care about. I love exercising so much. Exercising has helped me live in New York City. It's honestly one of the most stressful places to live in, but maintaining an exercise routine really helps me reduce my stress and really helps me with my mental health. So I really love spending money on beauty. For me, my beauty budget entails sometimes I get my nails done, sometimes I get sugared. I also really like hair extensions and buying new clothes. So I try to keep my beauty budget at about $300 every month. I try to be pretty frugal. It's funny because when I first graduated from college, I was living paycheck to paycheck on my first salary, and it wasn't because I was making too little, it was just because I wasn't being smart with my money. And it wasn't until I wanted to leave my job that I realized the importance and the power of having savings. One of my long-term financial goals is to FIRE. I'm a huge fan of the financial independence, retire early movement. I think it's a really amazing movement. I don't necessarily know if I want to retire early, but it would be great to be financially independent. One of my goals is also to maybe own an apartment. I know in New York it can be crazy. In my neighborhood, a one bedroom goes for $700,000 to $800,000, and that's just for a one bedroom. Something that I'm really passionate about is my YouTube channel called The Come Up. It's sort of a channel that I created to sort of give people the resources I didn't have when I was starting this journey. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. There are not that many Black women in tech, so I just wanted to sort of show that there are Black women in tech and just sort of provide as many resources as possible. I didn't really grow up getting to take international trips. We only traveled to the libraries, so I kind of do it to the max now. So I try to take one international trip every year with my boyfriend. I take girls trips with my friends. I'm also in a long distance relationship, so that flying back and forth from New York to LA also adds a little bit more to my travel budget. Basically all of my family is in Nigeria, all of my family except for one of my uncles and my sister, my mom, my dad. And the opportunities I have here are significantly more than the opportunities that my cousins have. So that's something that I always remember when I'm feeling down, is how lucky I am to be here and how many opportunities I have here than I having in Nigeria. The most important lesson I've learned about money is that money can just give you a lot of opportunities, a lot of options. In New York City, you're just constantly surrounded by people who are extremely wealthy, but also people who are extremely poor. And then going to the college that I went to school with kids whose parents were millionaires and billionaires. So I could actually see how money can give you options and opportunities and the things you don't have to think about when you have a higher income. So that's part of the reason I try to work as hard as I can, just so I can also give myself and my family those opportunities.